everyone. Nice to see you. First thing we do is check our levels, because something's always going to go wrong in the stream. Looking good. Let me know if there's any audio problems, as usual. Yeah, welcome to another Rokoko Office Hours. I'm Sam Lazarus, Creative Director for Rokoko. In a little bit different of an office now. We moved a little bit for a little while, so this is the new setup. It should be great for Mocap. And I'm super excited because, you know, if you've never been to an office hours before, usually what we do is we make some free Mocap, we give it out. You can download the over 300 assets that we've created already in the description below. But then in the second half, we usually do something creative and work on a workflow. And today, we're finally, as we've been talking about in the chat, going to go through the Mixamo Control Rig, IK Control Rig add-on, and also using the animation layers add-on to do really easy mocap editing in Blender. So this is a workflow that I just Shutter Authority pioneered, or I got from Shutter Authority. He came on the stream a little while ago and showed us, and it's taken me this long to get over my intimidation, but super easy. It allows you to do IK, control rig tweaking. Do I still have my Blender project up? Yep. And you can get your mocap on there, and it's all really easy to do. Interesting. Yeah, I'm still figuring it out a little bit. So it's IK hand, so it really, yeah, but it should be fun. It's gonna be great. So, you know, the first thing that we do is we always create some mocap. My square. And what's going on, Luke and Kana and Max? And yes, I got a beard now. I'm not wearing the red beanie because it's a little bit hot here. You know, we all must change. Maybe I'll even take the hat off. Who knows? But yeah, the first thing that we do always is we create some free motion capture. So I'm in my Rokoko smartsuit Pro 2. I'm gonna put on my gloves. And then I've been thinking, we always take requests, so if anybody wants any mocap, you know, Halloween's around the corner. I thought that we could make a bunch of Halloween related assets for everyone's Instagram posts. So I was thinking like a witch at her cauldron, you know, some mummy, zombie stuff, some like trick-or-treating stuff, maybe vampire. I don't know. And any other, you know, recommendations? Yeah, no beanie. Beanie babies. No beanie today. Okay, so I'm just plugging in my gloves. Rokoko Smartsuit Pro version 2. This is a second iteration of our suit, which is an inertial motion capture suit. It's got sensors in it. Records mocap. Excuse me, a little burp. I'm just gonna plug it in. I've already paired up my Wi-Fi, so it's just gonna link up. So this will probably be a little bit choppier than normal. I'm still figuring out the best Wi-Fi solution here. I'm on the house Wi-Fi. Normally, I always recommend, you know, working with a dedicated Wi-Fi router, which I just haven't been able to set up and get streaming. So we're probably it's gonna go in and out. Yeah, it looks pretty choppy right off the bat, but it's been settling down and we've been able to record some stuff. So I think it'll be fine. And if not, we'll just go through the Blender workflow instead. So yeah, my suit, yeah, there we go. See, calm down. My suit and gloves are on. So we just need to do a calibration pose, 3 seconds. Ready to go. And yeah, so choppy, but we'll have moments of good mocap. And again, this is because basically, you know, we've moved. I'm staying with my parents for a little while. Bachi's actually joining me. She's down there. Maybe we'll see her, my dog. But I always recommend having a dedicated Wi-Fi router to use for your motion capture, because the suit works off of Wi-Fi. So the stronger your Wi-Fi signal is, the better your mocap will be. And normally what I do is I plug in Ethernet from my computer. So YouTube live streaming is running through the Ethernet cord. And then I use a dedicated offline Wi-Fi router. So I'm connected to Ethernet for YouTube, Wi-Fi for mocap only, and I get super smooth mocap, and haven't been able to set that up yet, but we'll probably sort it for the next stream. But this looks great. And again, you can get good things. You're just gonna get, you know, you might have to re-record a couple times if you get a bad signal. I think the Wi-Fi router I'm connecting to is like it's like a couple rooms away. It's going through walls, and so, but this will look good. So, yeah, if anyone has anything that they want me to record, again, this isn't the ideal probably recording day, but in the meantime, I'm just, put it in the chat. In the meantime, I'm going to make Halloween assets. Okay, and so I'm going to do another calibration pose, and I'm probably just going to start with like witch cauldron. And also, witch's cauldron will also be really good for our retargeting. So you can see, this is an inertial mocap system. So the sensors aren't in absolute position of where they are, right? So you're always going to have to do cleanup a little bit. And you can see my hands are stacked in real life, but my avatar, the hands are offset. So that's something we could really easily clean up with the workflow we're going to be looking at in Blender to tweak your mocap, which will always be a part of motion capture at the high level. You always need to tweak your mocap and edit it. We have tools within Rokoko Studio to make it as easy as possible. But then once you get to your program, you retarget to a character whose proportions are different from yours. So you get clipping, things are going through the head, hands aren't in quite the right place to pick up an object. Editing always has to happen. And so this workflow, again, in Blender, we're going to look at is pretty easy to do editing. So you know what? I'm actually going to turn off. I also want to turn off my blur because we might make some side-by-sides. There we go. Okay, so this is going to be Witch's Brew. Let's do a calibration straight pose. Witch at her cauldron. Throw those Halloween mocap ideas in the chat. And let's see what we can get here. So that's pretty good. About 20 seconds. I try and keep my recordings below 2 minutes, just because they're easier to deal with. If you get really long FBX takes, it can get pretty messy when you're importing them into programs. So this looks great. Witch's Brew. Okay, so now I think like witch around their cauldron, like summoning, like summoning steam and I don't know, cauldron-y things. This looks good. I probably don't need to do a calibration pose, but it doesn't hurt. They're so easy to do that I end up doing them usually before every take. And again, you can get away without calibrating for 10, 20 minutes, but drift happens it accumulates over time. And so the longer you go without a calibration, the more drift. So, and it's 3 seconds, so I just do it pretty much every time. Okay, summoning from the cauldron. And so I think the idea with these is like, what are loopable, kind of fun, Halloween-y type assets that people might, I want to put something on my Instagram. Tweak, what's going on? Kevin, good to see you. Witch dropping something into the pot. Oh, that's good. Dropping a potion in the pot. Yes, Max, loving it. Okay, let's do that. Calibration pose. Doesn't hurt. Go. Kind of thing. There we go. Let's look at that. I didn't know if I would have it in my hand already or if I would grab it. I don't know about the hand wag. I think I'm going kind of a little bit too crazy with the hand waggles, with the fingies. So I'm going to actually delete that. Let's do it again without those fingy waggles. I don't know about that. One more time. Okay, let's try it again. Happy Halloween! Stop. Okay, that's pretty good. Witch flying on a broom now? And let's not, you know, I think that would be good. Let's try that. I mean, it's always better to use props, so it'd actually be better if I had like something that I could sit on, like a sawhorse or something. But you can always fix the feet in post. So let's do witch riding on her broom, or his broom, could be a wizard. Inevitably, that's gonna look a little bit silly, but you know, it's good. No witch riding on their broom mocap on Mixamo. That's the gap we're trying to fill. Okay, so what else? That's 4. Halloween. Okay, like just turning your head, seeing someone and scaring them, I think is a Halloween-y thing. So let's do a calibration pose. Kind of did something like this last week. I think we even called it Halloween Scare Someone, but we're gonna do it again. Ooh, look at that. Let's take a look at that. We might do that again. Little lag, little gross lag there. Sometimes, yeah. So let's record this again, because this is some Wi-Fi dropout. Again, that's what we talked about at the beginning. Not the best. You know, use a dedicated Wi-Fi router. It makes a huge difference. Here we go again. Let's take a look at that one. Let's see. This. And then I want to do mummy rising from the grave. Or do hand popping through soil. That could be a really fun one to do in like Houdini. Somebody could do. Ooh, that's good. That's good. And for that one, I'm probably just gonna. Oh, Bocce. What are you doing? Okay. Let's use that YouTube algorithm. Bocce. Be cute. That's right. This is Bocce, my dog. Little witch. Okay, go back to your thing. We gotta lie down. Stay over there. Yeah, we gotta lie down. Okay, so this is gonna be a zombie kind of waking from the grave kind of thing. So I'm gonna lie down on the floor for this, and when I do, Rokoko motion capture it requires foot contact with the ground. So I'm gonna actually keep my knees bent, and that way we'll get a better recording, and you can always fix like straightening out the legs and such in editing. But here, let me lie down and show you kind of what I mean. I don't know if you'll be able to see me. Okay, so it looks like Interesting. So this environment, I guess the Wi-Fi like cuts out right around the ground. Yep, so this is why you need a dedicated Wi-Fi router, because if the Wi-Fi router was right in the room, we wouldn't have any of these problems. So we're gonna do another, so instead I'll just go this, I'll go like this. Kind of, and it'll be the same deal. Okay, let's do a calibration straight pose. And we'll do two of these, like a slow one and a fast one. Kind of thing. And then we'll do it again. And you can imagine rigging a skeleton hand to this, I think. Right? Cool. I don't know what that, oh, flashing to them. Here's the other hand one. Ooh, it's tough on the abs doing that lean back. Not bad. I think those could be good. I'm gonna go back to our front view. Okay, what else? Like zombie walking. That's an easy one. Let's do it. Let's do a zombie walk. And I'm gonna walk. I'm gonna walk over that way. So I'm gonna do a calibration pose here. And let's record. Pause. And so this could be made into a walk cycle, but also I think it's good not having walk cycles. We'll see how this looked again with that Wi-Fi issue. And we'll clean this. Oh, that looks good. So that's a fix. So we'll always look at editing a little bit in Rokoko Studio, but foot contact with the ground, again, as I said, is how Rokoko interprets what's going on, because the sensors don't know where they are in space. They only know rotational data. So the software needs to know when your feet are in contact with the ground in order to do the rest of the body and kind of know where it is, and gives you the ability to, like, it's why I can, it's why, we'll do a calibration pose like this again, but it's why I can turn around 360, because we know where the feet contact are, because the sensors don't know where they are. There's no cameras. It's just all sensors to Wi-Fi to your computer. So that's why knowing that these foot contacts are correct is so important. And you can see here, again, if we click this little circle here, these are visualizations of the foot contact with the ground. So green is for the left foot, and you can see that it thinks my foot leaves the ground right here, really, right? And then it thinks, oh no, it's still in contact with the ground, but it isn't. It lands right there. So we need to kind of just delete these keyframes. And let's look at this again. Oh, looks just about perfect. Oh, actually, looks like my feet kind of drop there. So it's really important to do 30 seconds of cleanup. Yeah, look at that, amazing. And you can also, we'll get through this again, but in a second, we see, so here's another one, right? Look at this. Fix, foot lands, let's say right there. Process changes. And we could also make this into a walk cycle. Looks perfect. Oh, so then we get, oh, there was a little dropout. So maybe we'll just do, we'll create a segment and we'll cut off right here. Anyway, so that's zombie. What else do we got? I know, you gotta have that beanie. You gotta give the people what you want. I wish I could be wearing a beanie. It's just too hot in here. Okay, last things like Halloween. Oh, trick-or-treating, right? Trick-or-treating. Yep, both sides of that. Let's do that. Let's do an idle with my basket. Let's do knocking on the door and receiving candy. And let's do giving out candy. So we'll do the idle. So that's just standing there while the leader actually knocks on the door. That's getting some candy, and this is a very American thing, so apologize to those of you who are like, what the hell? Although Halloween's pretty much everywhere, if not just for the party, baby. Oh. Yep, and now we'll do giving out the candy. So it looks like we got a little bit of a glitch in the middle. Oh, no, it looks good. Nope, that looks good. How about like a vampire? Kind of thing. Let's do a vampire kind of guy with a cape. This would be annoying to rig up, but could be cool. I don't know, it's kind of vampiric. Hello to everyone. Please, if you want any free mocap made, that's what we do here. So please put it in the chat and we will make it. Ooh, look at that. Throwing the cape off. This would be a mess to actually do unless you hand animated the cape. I don't know, cloth physics. Oof. But, that's good. Okay, I mean, we have 12. What else is Halloween-y? I mean, there's so many Halloween-y things. How about like a zombie like dragging their feet? That could be good. Dragging feet zombie. So still reaching out and wanting brains, but injured. I don't know if my arm was hanging loose enough for that. Let's check it out. Let's check it out. That's not bad. See, I'm holding this arm a little stiff. I'm gonna try that again. Let's try that again. Calibration. Okay, zombie, loose arm this time. Try it. Stop that. Delete. Let's try it with the left arm. One more time. Never hurts to calibrate. Here we go. Let's see how that looked. Might have gone behind into a bad Wi-Fi zone. So that's like, maybe that's like too crazy. So we'll have both of these options. We got witch on the broomstick. You know, we got a lot of things. We got trick-or-treating. I think we kind of might be good. Maybe we'll move to doing some Blender fixing with the IK control rig. Let's do a straight pose. Anything else? So this is last chance for kind of, what else would I want to put on my Instagram feed that's Halloween related? That's mainly what I'm interested in doing. I can't lie down, so I can't do the Vampire Rising. Yeah, I think we're good. Okay, unless anyone wants anything else, I'll keep the suit on a little bit, maybe, so that we could go back. But let's go, and let's just get into Blender. Let's do it. Let's do it. So I'm gonna unplug. Again, if anybody wants anything else, put it in the chat. We'll see if we can make it. I'll leave the suit on, even though I'm a little bit hot. Turn on my sexy background blur. Yeah, and let's get into Blender. So, again, so what we're gonna be doing is using the Blender IK control rig. And more importantly, we're gonna be able to use that control rig to do some editing. And this I think might be the perfect kind of mocap. You know, you can do this for any mocap, right? And again, as I said at the beginning, oh yeah, mocap editing is a requirement for any mocap that you make, really. It usually is. You're gonna need to tweak something, especially if you want really high quality mocap. Okay, lower down my old camera here. The nice thing is you can always just stay in your Rokoko suit. Gotta go to my circle. I need my circle. There we go. Oh, now I look so professional. Bocce, what's going on? No. We're gonna do this now. And you can have a treat if you get crazy. Okay, so yeah, so what we need to do here is we want to be able to use, we want to be able to edit our mocap using a control rig. And most importantly, an IK control rig, in my opinion, because the difference between IK and FK, inverse kinematics and forward kinematics, is if I'm trying to edit motion capture of my left arm, if I was going to edit that motion capture in forward kinematics, it would mean if I wanted to change the position of the wrist to here, I would need to change the upper arm, then I need to go to the forearm, then I need to do the wrist all separately. IK, inverse kinematics, means that the bones preceding the end joint are going to follow where that end joint goes. So I just need to move the wrist bone up, the wrist control, the control null up, and the rest of the bones will follow wherever I move that wrist. So that makes it really easy to do mocap editing, because it means if you have clipping on your character, your hands are going through the leg, you just need to move the wrist, and the rest of the arm joints will naturally kind of follow that. So in this animation, this is ostensibly a witch brewing their potion. And you can see that obviously this right arm is not stacked on the left arm. And we're holding a big paddle, right? That's how it should be. So that's what we're going to fix in Blender. So, I'm going to rename this take before we export it. I'm going to call it Halloween Witch Cauldron Brewing. Boom. And we're going to export this out. I'm actually going to export this at 30 frames a second. I think I might stop exporting at 100 frames a second. I don't need the body mesh. You only need the body mesh if you're going to Unreal. We're going to Blender. Format should be an FBX, because that's what is typical. And then whenever you're going into Blender, I always leave this on Rokoko Studio's binary. You can use ASCII for the FBX settings in other programs, but for Blender, it needs to be binary. And it doesn't hurt if it's binary for other programs, so I always leave it at binary. Yeah. So we're gonna export. Okay, that's it. Boom, export, go. And actually we might I'm gonna re-export this because we didn't add any cleanup filters. So you can see right here, I don't really want these feet to be drifting, right? They should be stuck where they are. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna add this foot IK filter. It just means that the feet are gonna stick on the ground. If the software thinks the feet are on the ground, which is what these bars indicate, the feet aren't gonna move. So, and then the other filter we could use is the drift fix filters. And you can find your cleanup filters in this little magic wand button down here. And so we did have drift over time. And you can see this is the start and end position. So we know that we started and stopped our animation in the same location. So those should be overlapping. So I'll fix that. I talk about how important it is to do cleanup all the time in Rokoko Studio. It's really it's not cleanup, really, it's error correction. This is just helping you get the mocap you're supposed to get. So it's a necessary part of this process. It takes 30 seconds. It's worth it. It's the difference night and day between having mocap that is okay and mocap that looks great. And it's really a part of the Rokoko process. Anyway, export. Now that we've added our filters, it's just gonna overwrite the one that we made previous. Let's jump into Blender. So I'm gonna create a new project. This is Blender 3.3.1. Delete everything. And okay, so this is the workflow we're gonna use is using this Mixamo add-on for Blender. We're gonna be using a character that's rigged on Mixamo. So this workflow only works for characters that have a Mixamo skeleton that you've rigged on Mixamo. We'll go through other control rig editing workflows soon in Blender, hopefully. But this one, your character needs to be rigged on Mixamo. The other add-on you're gonna want is the, let's not give away my user information here. Animation layers. You're gonna want the animation layers add-on on the Blender Marketplace. This is just a good add-on for everyone to have. It's an add-on that you would need for any of the, you don't need it. You can use Blender's built-in animation layer system. And an animation layer basically means that we're gonna keep our mocap animation on one layer, and then we're gonna be able to edit it on a layer that sits above it. So it's a non-destructive mocap editing workflow. That's what we want. We don't want to destroy our original animation. We want to add to that animation new. Had a little connection cut out there. So I don't know how much of that I lost, but this workflow I got from the Shutter Authority live stream that he did with us. And so this is his workflow. It is super easy to use. And again, it only works for Mixamo Control Rigged characters. And there's also a little bit of a workaround that you need to do, but we're just going to go through it, and it's awesome. And it's very easy to do. Okay. So all that being said, right, I'm in Blender. I've got a new project. I've got my Rokoko plugin installed, which is a free plugin. You're going to need that too. I've got my Cats plugin installed. Cats is an add-on or a plugin that allows you to fix the rest pose of a character. So you're going to need that too. It's free. I've got my Mixamo Control Rig plugin, and I've got my animation layers plugin. I believe that's what this is, MD. We'll find it if not. And actually, let me go to my edit preferences, add-ons, animation layers. Yeah, so it's, I don't know. It should be this. I believe that's this. Anyway, let's import our character. So we're gonna. I rigged this character on Mixamo. It's not a witch, but we're gonna use it for this. So it's just a Mixamo rigged character. And if you want to find out how to go through and rig characters on Mixamo, it's easy to do. There's plenty of tutorials. This character was rigged on Mixamo. It has a Mixamo skeleton. So the first thing that we need to do before we edit this guy is we need to, before we retarget to this character, we need to make sure that it's actually in a T-pose. So to retarget Rokoko Mocap, your character needs to start in a T-pose. And this looks like it's in a T-pose, but its rest pose is not. And its rest pose is basically the pose that the mesh was in when we uploaded it to Mixamo. So I downloaded it from Mixamo in a T-pose. And actually, let's just go to Mixamo and show you what I mean. By that, you would need to go to Mixamo. Continue. You would have your character that you uploaded. So this, you would upload a character, rig it. This process might not work with all of their built-in characters because some of them have wonky skeletons actually. So it'll work with any character you rig using Mixamo. But anyway, when you download that character, make sure that you're downloading it in the T-pose animation, right? You don't want to download it in this. You want to download it in a T-pose download, right? So that's what this is. But if I click this guy and I go into edit mode, this is the actual pose that is the rest pose for this character. And if we retarget to this character like this, it's going to be a mess. So we need to go and make the T-pose its rest pose. So first plugin we use to do that is the Cats plugin. Type in Cats Blender plugin. It's a free plugin for VR chat mannequins and avatars, but it works really well to fix this issue with the rest pose. And if your model is in a T-pose as a rest pose, as you can check by going to edit mode, that'll show you. Go to object mode. This is how you check to see if it's rest pose as a T-pose. This character is not. So I'm going to select my character, pose mode, put it into a T-pose. The other thing that I could do, which I'm not going to for this model, actually I'll do it, but you want the thumbs to be laying flat along the fingers. And you also want the fingers to be flat, but I'm going to leave these guys. I'm also going to make the legs a little bit tighter because basically we're trying to ape the Rokoko pose, starting pose as much as possible. And that skeleton has legs are kind of right underneath its hips, right? So then I click apply as rest pose. Boom. Now let's click this character, go to edit mode. Ooh, nope. This is it. This is its rest pose. And if I go back to object mode, it'll look like this, but the important thing is in edit mode, what is this character's rest pose, right? So These are the changes we made, right? So that's why it looks like this. Okay, now we're gonna import our mocap that we exported. So that's gonna be in our free mocap 21, Halloween Witch Cauldron Brewing. Click automatic bone orientation when you're importing into Blender. Always for FBXs with skeletons. Import FBX. Boom. So I'm gonna move this guy over here, and you can see this is our mocap, right? And let's extend out our timeline here. 680. There we go. Okay, so we've got our mocap and we've got our Mixamo character. So now we're gonna go and we're gonna add. You can make a movie with this. Oh, sorry, that's a question about our GTX 1640. Blender's pretty light. You're just gonna have to take a long time. I mean, a 3050 would definitely be better. Kana is on top of that though, in the chat. Okay, so next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna add a control rig to this character, a Mixamo control rig. So go to our Mixamo control rig. Source skeleton is going to be armature here. So I drag that in. Again, that's the skeleton of my character, armature. Create control rig. I want IK arms, I want IK legs. I don't need animation. Don't apply animation. Okay. Look at this. So maybe with this, no, yeah, so it's great. Yeah, we did this in the right zone. So what we've done is we've just added, if we go into, object mode. If we go into pose mode, look at this. We now have an IK rig for our character. This is really important because this is what we want to edit when we're editing our mocap. Okay, so the next thing we would do ostensibly is apply animation for animation to this rig. You know, for source skeleton, we would put in our mocap skeleton right here, and we hit apply animation. The problem with that is that we need that this will only take Mixamo animation from a Mixamo skeleton. We don't have a Mixamo skeleton on our Rokoko mocap, and we exported it in a Maya human IK skeleton. And unfortunately, even if you export it as a Mixamo skeleton, it's not the right type of Mixamo skeleton. So we need to go through this intermediary process. So I'm going to import a new version of my character. Again, this is a character that has been rigged on Mixamo. Import. I'm going to do the same process. And actually what we should maybe have done is, because this character, again, if I go to edit mode, it's not in the right pose, is we should have copied the character. Actually, let's do it. Can I undo all of this? Can I go back and just copy this character? Let's see. How many undos do I got? Undo, 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 undo. Okay, well, it's still, yeah, I think this actually will work. So let's copy this. We want to duplicate, how do I, okay, copy. Paste. Okay, well, that's all we need is the armature. So there we go. I copied my character. I could also import a new version, but this seems to work. So again, what I did, went to armature, copy, paste. It gave me armature R1. It didn't bring over the mesh, which doesn't matter. So what we are going to do, and I know this is kind of confusing. Well, I'll make a tutorial about this, but you should be able to follow along what we've done so far. Now what we need to do is we need to take the mocap from we need to take the animation from our mocap. We need to retarget that onto this Mixamo skeleton that is our character, but then we're going to retarget that character onto the control rig with our Mixamo control rig. And again, this control rig, and then we'll be able to edit that. Okay? Oh no, Tinder hot. God damn. Hide user on this channel. Okay, so in order to get our motion capture onto this skeleton, this Mixamo skeleton, we're going to select, we're going to go to the Rokoko plugin. I'm going to open up the retargeting portion, and we're just going to do a normal retarget. So the source is going to be character reference. The target is going to be armature 01, which is this skeleton. I'm going to hit build bone list. This should pretty much work automatically, but sometimes you have to go through and, you know, sometimes it'll like duplicate the shoulder for the arm. We have tutorials for how to do typical retargeting with Rokoko plugin. So make sure this is all right. Retarget animation. If anything isn't right, it'll give you a warning. It'll say this bone is, you need to fix this bone. And so at this point, what have we got? We've now got our motion capture from Rokoko Studio retargeted onto a Mixamo T-posed skeleton. And now we need to take the mocap from this guy and we need to put it onto this guy. So if we go to our Mixamo control rig, character armature, which again is this character right here, source, armature 01, apply animation to control rig. Wait a second. And let's delete out we don't need our mocap. Boom, kill that. And look at this. So now we have our animation applied to a Mixamo control rig skeleton. This is what we want. And so now we need to edit this right hand onto, so it's stacked, right? And actually, before we do this, I'm going to save, because I'm not positive about the order of this. Taurus, Mixamo control rig, let's call it, save, just before, in case we need to go back and fix this. I'm gonna hit bake animation. So that's gonna bake all of these animations onto our Mixamo control rig here. Okay, so now we need to do the edit. And again, I can delete this armature. This is what we got. Right? So how do we edit this hand? And maybe some of these fingers and all this stuff, right? So what we're gonna do to do that is first of all, we're gonna go into pose mode. And now you can see, look, I've got IK control of this hand. If I make any changes, of course, though, these are all keyframed. So it's just gonna jump back to where it was. This is where the animation layers comes in. So now I'm in my animation layers plugin, add-on that we added. Monster of Truth, it does. Yep, and I think we have a tutorial about Auto Rig Pro. And then I'm just seeing some of the chat here before we get to editing. Kana, is there a way to generate a control rig with a non-Mixamo named model? Not using this plugin, but you could do that using Auto Rig Pro. I just haven't figured out that process yet. But in theory, you'd use Auto Rig Pro, and you can actually retarget to a control rig. When you go to the Rokoko retargeting, you would just use the source as your mocap. Target would be the control rig you built with Auto Rig Pro. In theory, there's some settings you need to tweak with Auto Rig Pro about some things need to be FK and IK. But in theory, once you've retargeted to the control rig, the IK control rig, so you've taken your mocap animation, applied it to control rig nulls, you can go to this animation layers and do this same process. I'm going to turn on animation layers, add a new one, so you can see. So look at this hand. I've got my hand selected on anim layer. This is the layer sitting on top of all of our mocap animation. No keyframes. base layer, our keyframes, right? So this will allow us to add animation on top of the animation. Sorry, I gotta, hold on 1 second. Okay, we're back. Fixed it. This is what happens when you live with your parents. Sometimes they come and say hi, and during a stream. Okay, so Yasuke. Yeah, we have a new waiting screen. Very cool. Yeah, you can go back in time and see what we've done so far. But let's do it. We were just about to start doing some animation. So we added a new animation layer, right? Again, on the animation layer, we have no mocap on our hand, no keyframes on our hand. On the base layer, this is where all of our keyframes are. So now if we want to do edits to this hand, and again, we want to stack this hand on top of this one. The real way to do this would just be to parent it maybe or something, but we're going to edit it manually. And this is the same. We'll go through and do another one maybe where we're fixing clipping or something like that. But let's go through and edit this now. So I'm going to, on the hand, right here, I'm going to add a keyframe onto the translation and rotation. I turn on my, auto keying. And so right here, we're just gonna start moving this guy on top. Look at that. Right? Witch's Cauldron. And it's gonna keyframe it automatically. And we're just gonna go through and, you can see where we're gonna need to, just kind of edit this. Oop. A little bit. And again, you should probably, maybe there's like a parenting workflow that makes more sense to this. I'm just trying to demonstrate kind of this editing with a control rig kind of solution. And yeah, so I mean, what you would really do in this situation is you would probably kill all the animation on the hands, parent them both to a cauldron brewing thing, a spoon, and then, just move the spoon around. Because that's just would make more sense. But you can see I'm basically going through and I'm editing this. So there we go. Look at this. I mean, this looks great, right? I would fix the thumbs maybe too, but there you go. So let's choose another. Let's do this process again, and I'm going to choose kind of a different animation because this, as I was just thinking, right? That's not how I would actually do this, right? You would parent the hands, and you would still use this control rig system, and you'd use all the rest of the animation for this model because we still want all that. But you would kill the animation probably on the hand controls, parent them to a stick, and just move the stick in circles, and then yeah. You know? Hell yeah, Distar, you gotta do what works, you know? We're between places, and you know, it's cheaper to stay with your parents than, I don't know, rent a place for 6 months. Okay, so let's do this again. Kill that whole thing that we just did. Let's select another animation from what we recorded. So we were doing Halloween themed mocap, which I'm really excited to make some Instagram posts with. That's the witch riding on her broom. Let's not do that. Let's do this scaring one. Oh, this is dropping something into the cauldron. That could be a good one if we had a witch character. This is some zombie. I want to do just like straight up spooking. Where's my spooking one, people? Turn and spook. That animation that we did. Oh, maybe it's take 4. This is why you should probably rename them as you're doing them. Nope, witch riding her broom. Okay, turn and spook. Here we go. So let's do this, because I think this is very spooky Halloween for the character that we have, and we'll just go through and maybe, yeah, there might be some clipping that we need to fix, but maybe we'll just play with, you know, we'll just edit this maybe, because maybe here we want the head to turn a little bit more. So we'll go through the process again with this animation. Okay, let's do it. So again, we recorded this a few moments before. Can't you move a stick IRL? So Marky Mark, you're asking about moving the stick. I could, but for digital manipulation of digital objects, it's really hard to get contact. So you could parent the stick to one hand, so that's good, but then your other hand is not going to be, when it's moving, it's going to be slightly off. That's the way it is with inertial motion capture, especially with Rokoko. If you have things like this, the hand inevitably is going to be moving slightly, and they're not going to be perfectly in sync. So you would want to parent at least one hand to the other hand and have it be moving around, which I'm sure is easy to do in Blender, but we're gonna focus on this other workflow. So, okay, so we're gonna call this Halloween turn and scare. There we go. We always go through and do some cleanup on the foot contact. Look at this. Look at these feet sliding. We don't want these feet to be sliding, right? So the first thing we do is we always go and we check our foot contact keyframes. As you can see here, visualized in the scene. Green is for left, blue is for right. These bars mean that the foot is in contact with the ground. So this looks good. If this was, say, like this, sometimes it'll come in not correct. That's not right. This right foot leaves the ground right here. So we would need to fix that. That looked good right off the bat, so we didn't need to. Next thing we'll do is, you can see there's, again, sliding on these feet. Look at these feet sliding around. Add the foot IK filter that will lock these feet onto the ground. Look at that, not moving. And I'm actually gonna tweak this a little bit. I'm gonna add a little bit of a gap here. If I select a keyframe and hit 0, it clears the next portion. If I hit 1, it connects to the next portion. I click this when I hit 1, so it'll connect those. Process changes. I just want this back foot to slide a little bit. Here, I did, right? That looks better. Sometimes you gotta tweak these guys. I'm also gonna add the drift fix filter. Visualize it in the scene with this gizmo. Again, we know we started and stopped our motion capture in the same place. So the start and end positions should be overlapping. Process changes, and I bet this looks really crispy and good. looks great. Okay, so let's export this out. I'm going to export it. Again, 30 FPS, my human IK, no body mesh, hit export. Let's go into Blender. And let's import our character. So I'm just going to go through this process that we just did. I'm just going to go through a little bit faster, which I think is maybe helpful. So whenever importing a character with bones, hit automatic bone orientation. Again, this is a character that I rigged on Mixamo. This workflow that I'm going to do right now only works on characters that you rig on Mixamo. This character's rest pose, if we go to edit mode, you can see is no. We open up our cats plugin, which is free. We go to start pose mode, make this into a T pose. I'm also going to fix the thumb so it lies flat with the fingers. If I cared more, I would fix the fingers. You know, I could also, looks like this needs to be straightened. There we go. That's more of a T-pose. And also, I'm just going to bring the legs in because for Rokoko Mocap, the feet are really right underneath. The hips. I'm also going to turn them in a little bit. See this? So those feet are pointing a little bit more forward. Boom. Applies rest pose. Great. I'm going to just move this character over. Then I'm going to copy, paste. Here we go. This is the skeleton of our character. This is going to be the intermediary skeleton. We're going to retarget our motion capture onto this skeleton, and then this skeleton onto the Mixamo Control Rig. We're going to add the Mixamo Control Rig, select our character, go to the Mixamo, character selected, armature. If I select armature 01, character, it's going to add a control rig to that. We don't want that. We want to add it to our character, armature. Create control rig. I don't want to apply animation. I want IK arms and IK legs. Boom. We got a control rig. Looking good. Now we're going to import our motion capture, import FBX. Go find our mocap, turn and scare. Again, we're going to do automatic bone orientation when we import it. Here we go. And one other thing that I like to do, you know what, and I'm going to do before I add the Mixamo Control Rig, is I get the best results when retargeting to Rokoko Mocap. So import our mocap when my characters are the same hip height from the ground as my mocap. So I'm going to select my character. I'm just going to scale him down a little bit. So his hips are kind of at the same spot. I'm going to do the same thing with this guy. Boom, that should help. Okay. Now we're going to go to the Rokoko plugin. Go to the retargeting section. Source is going to be our mocap. Target is going to be our second armature. Build bone list. Retarget animation. Right? So now we got, I'm just going to extend this out here. Now we got our mocap onto our Mixamo skeleton here, which again was this character I rigged on Mixamo, so it has a Mixamo skeleton. I made a copy of it, retargeted my Rokoko mocap to the Mixamo skeleton. Then in the Mixamo add-on, again we need to add a control rig to our character. Then under source skeleton, we add the skeleton that we retargeted our mocap onto, that is a Mixamo skeleton. Apply animation to control rig. Look at this. Look at this. Looks really good. These legs look a little bit funky because of how I messed with those those feet. But let's bake our animation. Should be done. Delete those guys, we don't need them anymore. Look what we got. We got mocap onto a control rigged character. And now, let's say we want to fix these feet. I don't like how this foot is kind of turning inward, right? So if I wanted to fix that, I would go to our animation layer add-on, really important. Turn animation layers on, add a new animation layer. Again, we got our right foot. Oh, we got to go into pose mode here. Got our right foot base layer. You can see all the keyframes are on it. Anim layer, no keyframes. That allows us to make additive changes to the foot. And so what we need to do is just add a keyframe for the location and rotation of the foot controller. Hit S or hit L if you're using the typical Blender controls. Add a keyframe here. Turn on auto keying. And then, so right here, just gonna add a little keyframe here, but when it lands, I want it to land, you know, like this. Let's straighten out that foot a little bit. Boom. And then, you know, it bends over a little bit. Let's just fix that. Now it's not being weird. Add another keyframe. And then what we could always do, if we wanted to go back to that original keyframe, grab this keyframe, copy, paste. So now that's how it was originally, right? And so the other thing that we could do that I think would be good, like for this roar, right? So this is all cool. Yeah. So maybe like, and we should add different, you know, I like to add new layers whenever I'm doing different bones. So this is the head. Add a new animation layer. So that's for the head. We could even rename this. This is, you know, right foot, head. So here, let's add keyframes right here. Turn on auto keying. It's on. So I think right here, it'd be like the head goes down and then, oh, yeah. And he looks over there. And he looks over there. And he looks back. And then when he steps back, I want it to go back to, can I zero out this layer tools? Reset key layer. Yeah, so I hit reset key layer and that'll zero out any changes that I made. So now look, the head is like looking around. We could do this also for maybe, ooh, interesting. So this is why maybe, so we could, can we add multiple? Ooh, no. So maybe that's the elbow. So what we could do is let's add a new layer. So obviously I'm not getting, ooh, delete that keyframe, auto keying is on. Can I select all of these? Are all of these selected? Yep. So there's something that isn't selected. What is it? How do I turn on X-ray mode? I forget. Anyway, this looks cool. But you would want to maybe either, you could not do IK hands, maybe when you were adding the Mixamo Control Rig. But this looks cool. And if we did want to, you know, let's again delete that. Delete that. So the head looks that way to the right. You know, maybe we turn the arms a little bit. Looks over to the left. Turn the arms. Looks back over here. And then reset key layer. Ooh. Weird pinky right there. So this, again, so this is something we need to fix, right? So let's add a new layer. This pinky looks fine until here. Fix that. There we go. Right? There we go. And like, oh, you know, this looks a little bit odd. This thumb. Okay, add a new layer. And I'm just moving it slightly so it adds a keyframe. Thumb doesn't look weird anymore. There we go. So let's I want to export something. So we're going to go into shading. We're going to go back into object mode. I'm going to select the body. Yeah, we need to create a new material here. I need to go to my models and just go grab those textures. Texture. He looks pretty creepy. This is for the body. Let's grab the normal and the base color, which is usually, honestly, what I normally just grab. I mean, we could grab all the rest of it, but I just like the normal and the base color is enough, I think. Base color. Ooh, scary. This guy's pretty creepy. Add a new texture for the head. Head base color, head normal. Maybe we will need, these normals are pretty intense. I could also just do a color correction on the normal maybe. Spooky, spooky. Go back to layout. Let's go back to the, wow, looking good. Looks really freaky. Let's go into our actual cycles here. Cycles. Background color, black. Add some lights. Area light. I don't know about that normal. New area light. I like to backlight models like this. I think it can be really cool. This area light, let's boost the power. Looking freaking cool, man. Add a camera. God, I'm so bad at freaking Blender. How do I get into this camera again? Oh, God, this is like, it shows you. I haven't been in actually rendering things in Blender. This normal actually looks a little bit insane, or it needs to have some sort of smoothing maybe applied to it. No. This normal is just crazy looking. Numpad 0, but you're assuming I'm using the Blender. Yeah. So I'm not using the Blender hotkeys because I'm an idiot. Key map, Blender. Oh, there we go. Oh, God. Okay, now we need to go back to industry compatible. Yeah, doesn't lock to I forgot how to do it. Anyway, this would be the this would be the render. Yeah, I am a Maya guy. Oh, yeah, there we go. There we go. Oh, auto keying, turn off. Very spooky. We go to my armature. Oh God. Where is my subdivision? I know it's here. Where are you? How do I, no, not a constraint. I want to add a, not a shape key. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, that's the workflow. Looks cool. God, that normal is like bananas. Can we go into shading and color, gamma. I don't know. This normal looks bizarre. That doesn't look right. Oh, I was on the head. That's why. Anyway. Body. Yeah, I guess this normal looks weird. Super hardcore. Look at this normal. Oof. I don't know. Anyway. This looks cool. And you can see that this is our animation. Super easy. Export this bad boy out. Switch to non-color data for the normal mode. Where is that? Flat, repeat, view, single image, color space. I've been able to plug in a normal. Oh, I thought you could just plug it in. Maybe I've just added them before. Again, this is like a non-Blender person trying to figure things out still. Yeah, no. The whole thing is an alpha, right? Non-color data. Anyway, it doesn't really matter because the whole, you know, thing that we were trying to do is get this animation looking good, which it does. If we go to layout, you know, we could do some quick animations here. Ooh, God. Oh, because we're not doing the rotation. Oh, never mind. I'm not going to bother doing this. I'm going to figure this out and we'll export this guy out. Yeah, we don't need to do that. And also, I don't know what this has been. Okay, animation layers aren't on the camera, which is interesting. So we could add animation layers and you can play around with that. Anyway, so this was really great. I'm going to make a tutorial about this pretty soon. And normal map. Okay, hold on. Wait, I want to see if I can do this quickly. Oh, normal map. Thank you. Learning. There we go. That looks more like it should. There's still some weird. I think maybe this is just a kind of a funky normal map. But that looks so much better. Ooh. Oh, the color space. It's under the color space. Oh, non-color. No, it's, oh, okay. Yep. Ah, thank you, Distar. Dope. But this normal map is, oh. It's still a little too much. But that looks so great. Cool. Looking good. No! Tinder hot. Get out of here. Yes. Oh man, super cool. Love it. If I go into pose mode. Cool. Maybe I shall update the thumbnail because this looks way cooler. View. I don't want to see the render region anymore. Whatever, I'll figure it out. Awesome. Looks so great though. Oh, Gotta update that thumbnail. Non-color. Yeah. Cool. Well, this was great. So yeah, I'm gonna leave it there at the at the chance that I'm just gonna continue going and going and going and going. I think we're gonna call it. This was great. Tune in next week for another office hours. We'll be making some free mocap. I'm gonna publish the mocap that we have made today for use in your Halloween animations. Feel free to use it for whatever you want. You can use it for whatever. No restrictions. And yeah, this was really fun. Super excited to have this kind of more reliable workflow, at least for Mixamo characters, for doing your editing. And I promise I will continue to get better at Blender so I don't embarrass myself as much. Thanks everyone. Have a good weekend. We'll be back on Thursday next week, and we'll see how many times my parents walk in on the stream next week. Okay. See y'all. See you next time. Have a good weekend.